Hello, dear friends. Welcome to our channel, where we explore the most fascinating and inspiring stories from the Bible. We're the Graceful Faith channel, and today we're going to dive into the incredible story of Jacob, the man who wrestled with God. Get ready for a journey of faith, transformation, and deep spiritual meaning. For those who are not familiar, the story of Jacob is found in the book of Genesis. Let me explain more about his story until we get to chapter 32, the moment of the fight. Jacob was Abraham's grandson and Isaac's son. He had a life full of ups and downs, but the most remarkable part of his journey was his struggle with God, an event that changed his life forever. Let's understand how and why this happened. Jacob is a central figure in the book of Genesis, and his story begins even before his birth. His mother, Rebekah, was pregnant with twins who were struggling in her womb. God revealed to her that the two sons represented two nations, and that the older would serve the younger. When the twins were born, the first to come out was Esau, followed by Jacob, who was holding his brother's heel. This prophetic act already hinted at the competitive nature and future relationship between the two brothers. Jacob grew up being the favorite of his mother, Rebekah, while Esau was the favorite of his father, Isaac. Esau was a skilled hunter and outdoorsman, while Jacob was a quiet man who preferred to stay in tents. This difference in personalities created a scenario of tension and rivalry between the brothers. The first major event that marked Jacob's life was the purchase of Esau's birthright. One day, Esau returned exhausted and hungry from a hunt and found Jacob preparing a lentil stew. Esau was so hungry that he felt he would die if he didn't eat immediately. Jacob, taking advantage of the situation, offered the stew in exchange for the birthright, which meant the lion's share of his father's inheritance and the special blessing reserved for the firstborn. Esau, despising his birthright, accepted Jacob's offer. Esau: "Give me some of that red stew over there. I'm starving." Jacob: "Sell me your birthright first." Esau: "I'm about to die. What good is that right to me?" Jacob: "Swear first." Esau then swore, selling his birthright to Jacob. Genesis 25:34 tells us, "So Esau despised his birthright. Later, with his mother's help, Jacob deceived his father in order to receive the firstborn blessing that was meant for Esau." Isaac, already elderly and with weakened eyesight, asked Esau to hunt an animal and prepare a tasty dish so that he could bless him before he died. Rebekah heard this and quickly planned how Jacob could impersonate Esau. Rebekah prepared a tasty dish of kid goat, just as Isaac liked it, and then dressed Jacob in Esau's clothes so that he would smell like his brother. She covered Jacob's hands and neck with goat skins because Esau was a hairy man. Jacob then took the food to his father. Jacob: "My father." Isaac: "Yes, my son. Who are you?" Jacob: "I'm Esau, your eldest son. I've done as you asked. Please sit down and eat some of my game so that you can give me your blessing." Isaac: "How did you find the game so quickly, my son?" Jacob: "The Lord your God put it in my path." Isaac then asked Jacob to come closer so that he could touch him and confirm his identity. Isaac touched Jacob and said, "Isaac." The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are Esau's hands. Isaac didn't recognize him because his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau. So he blessed him. Isaac: "May God grant you the dew of heaven and the riches of the earth and plenty of grain and wine. May the nations serve you and the peoples bow down to you. May you be lord over your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow down before you. Cursed be those who curse you, and blessed be those who bless you." When Esau returned from hunting and found out what had happened, he was furious. He begged his father for a blessing, but Isaac couldn't take back the blessing given to Jacob. Esau wept bitterly and vowed to kill Jacob as soon as his father died. Rebekah, fearing for Jacob's life, suggested that he flee to his uncle Laban's house in Haran. Esau: "Bless me too, my father." Isaac: "Your brother has come cunningly and taken the blessing that belonged to you. Esau, is he not rightly called Jacob? This is the second time he's deceived me. He took away my birthright, and now he's taken my blessing. So Jacob fled to the land of his ancestors, carrying with him the blessing, but also a great burden of guilt and fear. During his escape, Jacob had a significant spiritual experience in Bethel. He dreamt of a ladder linking earth to heaven, with angels ascending and descending it, and God renewed the promise made to Abraham, assuring Jacob that he and his descendants would inherit the land and be a blessing to all nations. Jacob's story is full of moments of human failure and divine intervention. He cheated, ran away, worked hard for his uncle Laban, and finally, after many years, returned to his homeland, where he would once again face his brother Esau. This return journey is where our story today focuses, culminating in Jacob's struggle with God by the river Jabbok. Genesis 28, 12, 15. Jacob had a dream. He saw a ladder resting on the earth, with the top reaching to heaven, and the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. Beside him stood the Lord, who said to him, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you lie. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth and will spread west and east, north and south. All the families of the earth will be blessed through you and your descendants. I am with you and will take care of you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until you do what I have promised you. This vision of Jacob is a powerful reminder that, even in times of flight and uncertainty, God is with us. He guides us, protects us, and fulfills his promises. The ladder represents the continuous connection between heaven and earth, symbolizing God's constant presence in our lives. This episode at Bethel was a milestone in Jacob's life, because there he made a vow to God, promising that if God protected him on his journey and brought him back safely, the Lord would be his God, and he would tithe everything he received. Genesis 28, 20, 22 relates, Then Jacob made a vow, saying, If God will be with me and keep me on this journey that I am making, and give me bread to eat and clothes to wear, so that I may return in peace to my father's house, then the Lord will be my God, and this stone which I have set up as a pillar shall be God's house, and of all that you give me, I will surely give you a tithe. On arriving in Haran, Jacob met Laban and began working for him. Jacob fell in love with Rachel, Laban's daughter, and agreed to work for her for 7 years in order to marry her. However, after the 7 years, Laban deceived Jacob by giving him his eldest daughter, Leah, instead of Rachel. Jacob had to work for another 7 years to finally marry Rachel. This period was full of challenges and trials for Jacob, but he prospered, becoming very wealthy and the father of a large family. Eventually, God told Jacob to return to his homeland. Afraid of meeting Esau again, Jacob sent messengers ahead with gifts to appease his brother's anger. It was the night before this encounter that the struggle with God took place, an event that profoundly marked Jacob's life and gave him a new name, Israel, symbolizing his transformation and the fulfillment of divine promises. This is the basis of Jacob's story, a man full of flaws, but also of determination and faith. Through his experiences, we learn about the importance of valuing spiritual blessings and trusting in God's promises, even when we face challenges and uncertainties. Now, let's delve even deeper into the most exciting part of their journey, their struggle with God. Prepare to be inspired. This is the moment when Jacob is about to meet his brother Esau again, from whom he had fled years before for stealing his blessing. Anxious and fearful of the meeting, Jacob sends Esau gifts in the hope of appeasing his anger. But the night before the reunion, something extraordinary happens. Jacob crosses the river Jabbok with his family and all his possessions, but decides to stay alone that night. There, by the river, he meets a mysterious and powerful man who fights him until dawn. Genesis 32, 24, 26. Then Jacob was alone, and a man came and wrestled with him until daybreak. When the man saw that he couldn't beat him, he touched Jacob's hip joint so that it dislocated while they were wrestling. Then the man said, "Let me go, for it is already dawn." But Jacob answered, "I won't let you go unless you bless me." This man is often interpreted as an angel or even a manifestation of God. The fight symbolizes not just a physical confrontation, but a deep spiritual and emotional struggle. Jacob was in a moment of crisis, facing his fears and desperately seeking God's blessing. And here is the first important lesson. Sometimes our greatest spiritual battles happen when we are alone and vulnerable. Jacob, in his solitude, was confronted with his own fears and limitations. He struggled not only with the angel, but with his own weaknesses and doubts. How many times have we felt like this in our own lives? In moments of anguish, we face our own demons, struggle with our insecurities, and look for a sign of hope. Like Jacob, we can find strength and renewal by persevering in faith, even when the struggle seems endless. Maybe you're facing a difficult challenge right now, an illness, a financial problem, a personal conflict, and you feel like you're struggling alone. Remember, like Jacob, you are not alone. God is with you in this struggle, strengthening and guiding you. The story continues with a powerful outcome. Jacob doesn't give up, and the man finally blesses Jacob, saying that he will be called Israel because he has struggled with God and with men and prevailed. This transformation is significant. The name Jacob means he who seizes the heel or deceiver, while Israel means he who wrestles with God or Prince of God. This change of name reflects an inner transformation and a new purpose. Genesis 32, 28. Then the man said, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have wrestled with God and with men and have overcome." Here we see Jacob's transformation. He went from being a deceiver to someone who wrestled with God and emerged victorious. This new name, Israel, symbolizes a new identity and a new purpose. In the same way, God calls us to transform ourselves and embrace the new life He offers us. This story reminds us that despite our flaws and weaknesses, God can transform us and use us for His purposes. Think about your own life. Is there an area where you feel you need a makeover? Maybe it's a habit you want to change, an attitude that needs adjusting, or a relationship that needs healing. Just like Jacob, you can wrestle with God in prayer, seeking His blessing and transformation. God is faithful and willing to work in our lives, shaping and empowering us for His service. Jacob's story teaches us that in our most difficult struggles, God is present. He challenges us to grow, to change, and to become new people in Christ. Even when we feel broken and weak, God gives us strength and blesses us with a new purpose. May we, like Jacob, wrestle with God and come out transformed, ready to fulfill the plan He has for our lives. Have you ever had times when you felt like you were wrestling with God or facing a spiritual battle? What does this story mean to you? Share your experiences and reflections in the comments below. I'd love to know how you see this story and how it impacts your life. Today, we reflected on the powerful story of Jacob and his struggle with God. We saw how moments of crisis can lead to profound transformation and how perseverance in faith can bring us a new identity in God. May we all learn from Jacob to seek God with intensity, to face our spiritual battles with courage, and to believe that with God we are able to win. Remember, God is with us in every struggle and gives us the strength we need to prevail. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next videos. Tomorrow we'll have another inspiring story for you. Until then, may God bless your life abundantly. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.